Asia CEO Forum is presented by PLDT Enterprise with major sponsors Airspeed, China Bank Savings, and Regis. Us for Asia CEO Cebu. You will hear from the largest employer in Cebu, the largest employer in the nation, who also has large and expanding operations in Cebu. The country's newest super luxury resort just opened in Cebu, and others with fast expanding operations in Cebu and across the Visayas region. So really glad to have you with us. And we're going to have a great event. All right, let's get going with Kent Della Calzada. He is the head of the region of Visayas for PLDT Enterprise and known as a force of, technology advancement and digitization and so forth across the Cebu Visayas region. So let's get going with a heck of a nice guy. Please welcome Kent Della Calzada of PLDT Enterprise. Glad to have him with us. Kent.
Hello, Richard. Good to see you again. I've been attending your events for the past 7 years in Manila. And just to let you know, right before the pandemic, I got transferred back to Cebu. I'm a Cebuano, born and raised, so allow me to greet you as well as the participants of this forum. Maayong buntag kaninyong tanan. It is my honor to represent the city I call home, as well as share with you some updates to such distinguished audience of yours. Somebody said the comeback is greater than the setback. That is the story of Cebu business community, which I want to share with you today. We all had a fair share of challenges from COVID-19 pandemic, and just before when we were starting to bounce back, Typhoon Odette hit Cebu in December, and she hit hard, damaged the property, and infrastructure was on an unprecedented scale. There was no power, no fuel, no water, and no internet. We were then forced to enjoy casual dine-outs, meaning dining out of the house with only the moon and the stars giving us the light. But 9 months post-Odette, we are back. And if you visit Cebu today, you will observe that the economy is fully open. Activities and festivities are in full swing. Schools and businesses have reopened. And just to give you some highlights, CCLEX was inaugurated this year and is now fully operational. New Star, a premier 5-star integrated resort and casino, is now open. We've had Cebu Business Months. We've hosted the 2022 Ironman. We took to the streets the Pasigarbo de Cebu festivities, and then we went to Ormoc for the Visayas Area Business Conference. And just recently, and they happen to be part of this panel, Sheraton Maktan opened last September 1. We are also hosting Asia Career Conference in Boracay as we speak. We in PLDT and SMART are privileged to be at the forefront of this recovery. Our network sustained heavy damage, so we work tirelessly to help the business community get back on its feet. Over the past 5 years, we spent about 380 billion in network-related initiatives, both international and domestic. PLDT now, the most robust and reliable international cable network that connects the Philippines to the rest of the world through our investment in 16 international submarine cable systems and the most number of diverse cable landing stations across the country. Just last month, we activated Jupiter Cable System, the latest addition to the Philippines' growing international subsea cable network. It is the fastest cable system directly connecting the Philippines and the US mainland. And soon, we will be activating PLDT's Asia Direct Cable and Apricot cable systems. On the domestic end, PLDT added fiber footprint across the country from 244,000 kilometers in 2018 to 838,000 kilometers as of June this year. And just recently closer to home, PLDT fibers up Camotes Islands and the islands of Bantayan. This will definitely drive tourism to the islands. This domestic fiber optic network also supports smart mobile network, which now totals 76,000 base stations nationwide, supporting its 3G, 4G, LTE, and 5G customers from Batanes to Tawi-Tawi, including around 7,300 5G base stations. PLDT's investment not only spans in network infrastructure, we also walk the talk by investing heavily in digital and cloud infrastructure. We launched our IoT platform through Smart, the first in the Philippines. This breakthrough all-in-one platform opens up new horizons of opportunities and will empower both consumer and businesses. We now live in a world where machines talk to other machines, and this conversation is translated in a platform that talks to people. These technologies will enable you to make data-driven decisions and programs that will increase your revenues and reduce your cost. Another highlight just this year, we broke ground on our 11th Wipro data center in Santa Rosa, Laguna. It is by far the largest data center in the country, even larger than our existing 10 data centers combined. And it will be the future home of our hyperscalers, tech giants like Facebook, Amazon, Google, among others. With these capabilities, and because of our share of investments, this would mean for the business community that almost everything now is at the tip of your fingers. You can work, shop, pay, transact, collaborate, and connect with anyone in the world, no matter the distance and time difference. I wish I had more time to share updates with you in detail, and I would have wished that we can do this face-to-face. Hopefully next year, Richard. One great lesson we learned going through this twin disaster is that we can and we will always get through challenging times together. In these times, you will find PLDT and Smart are the companies you can trust, whether it's business or in life. Together, we can go farther. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Kent. It's good to hear optimistic stories about anything. But now, Kent, you are on the front line of new businesses and expansions in the region, because people always talk to you first, it seems. But what are some of the sectors and industries that seem to be growing the most in your region? Kent, what can you tell us?
One sector that I observe very evident in its growth is the travel and tourism sector. I earlier mentioned that New Star and Sheraton just recently opened. There are a lot more nearing completion or in the pipeline. Courtyard, Radisson Red, Fairfield, Ascot, Holiday Inn, and others. It has been observed that even prior to the pandemic, that Cebu and the Visayas lacked hotel rooms to accommodate the visiting tourist. While today, we are still far from pre-pandemic levels, but our tourist arrivals, both domestic and international, are already far from 2020-2021 levels and continues to rise day by day. So when these hotels will be available come next year and beyond, Cebu will have more than enough rooms to accommodate our visiting public. Another industry which has been gaining traction is the public sector. Since the nationwide mandate to go digital from past and current administrations, the public sector has now been very open to invest in technology to help in the delivery of basic goods and services. Public sector is now more reliant to the internet as well as applications in carrying out their functions to give citizens a better experience. Another one, Richard, that is pretty active is education sector. The academe has been very reliant on new technologies like cloud, Office 365, Google Workspace in delivering learning modules and even conducting classes. Richard, there's still a lot of sectors that I observe is growing, which only means business climate can only be better and better. I invite everyone to visit Cebu and experience for yourself the vibrant city and the warmth of these people.
Now, Kent, you mentioned companies like Facebook and Amazon in your presentation that already do a lot in Cebu, even in very sensitive functions like content management. Can you explain why your huge new data centers are important in expanding the work that these companies do here?
It is very important. Tech giants, Facebook, Google, Amazon, and the like, we call them hyperscalers. It means they can scale up or down in large numbers. These hyperscalers houses their servers, thousands of servers in data centers located here in the Philippines, which would mean that the videos, pictures, content that you post online are already in country, and it will be faster, easier, cheaper to retrieve them. And that will be the start of a different kind of boom for our country, the technology boom. Pretty exciting times ahead, Richard. Things can only get better.
That was Kent Della Calzada of PLDT Enterprise. Thanks, Kent, for that optimistic. See, lots of good stories from Cebu coming out. So glad to have Kent to keep us updated with that. Let's go next to Joselle Batapa Sige. She is the brand new Undersecretary of DICT. This is the Department of Information Communications Technology. And we were so pleased to hear she's in the role. She's widely considered one of the most prominent tech leaders in, well, certainly in the Cebu Visayas region, but even across the nation. And we've had her speak different times, and we just always impressed with the work she continues to do, really driving technology and high-paid jobs for Filipinos. So please welcome Joselle Batapa Sige of DICT. She comes to us from Bucharest, where she's working with a UN agency pushing for Philippines and the rights of a very hardworking person going on an hour or two of sleep a night. So really glad to have Joselle pulling away from her current duties in Bucharest. Good to see you, Joselle.
Hi, Richard. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And yes, we are right here in the middle of this activity under the International Telecommunications Union, or the ITU, the United Nations arm for telecommunications and ICTs. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Let me just share a few information about the Department of Information and Communications Technology. We are a 6-year-old department, as many would know. We started in 2016, and we were created under Republic Act 10844. And the Department of ICT has always been a department that we have longed for as ICT advocates, especially on the countryside. Because 10, 15 years ago, we already saw that aside from 1 or 2 countries in the ASEAN region, only the Philippines did not have a dedicated organization or institution focusing on digital transformation. And so we are very happy to already have the department. And if you will know, I am part of the framers of the law that created the department. And so it's my honor now to be also part of it, that its mandate is implemented. So Richard, just for the benefit of our audience, the DICT has several mandates, not only connectivity and public access, and that's what's called internet, but and telecommunications. But we are also on top of planning and policy making for purposes of digital transformation and pushing the national digital agenda of the Philippines. We're also on top of ICT industry development, and that is my own portfolio as Undersecretary to ensure that telecommunications connectivity translates to job creation and investment creation and knowledge development. And our department is also uniquely positioned to ensure that countryside development happens in this country, that inclusive growth to include regions and provinces in our job generation and connectivity initiatives be really realized. And we are also on top of cybersecurity, data protection for our citizens, such that we have attached agencies, the Cybersecurity Coordinating Council, the National Data Privacy Commission, and in terms of telecommunications, we have the National Telecommunications Council. We are also on top of digital skilling and resource sharing and capacity building of the Filipino workforce and the Filipino citizenry in general. Our office, our department is tasked to ensure that all agencies are, working towards future proofing our workforce for the fourth
Yes.
industrial revolution. So these are the mandates of the Department of ICT, and there's actually more because we're also tasked to coordinate with different departments of government to ensure that digital transformation happens in their own level, such that government is interoperable, seamless, and at the end of the day, citizen-centric. Uh, we need to see our secretary, Ivan Uy, who's very competent and the right person for the job, would like to see a government that is working together through digital solutions so that at the end of the day, the impact of the solutions are actually felt by our citizens in the way they transact with the government. So, in a nutshell, that's the mandate of our department. And here in Bucharest, what we want to do is to be able to highlight the role of the Department of ICT and also to share best practices that we have been experiencing in the Philippines. At the same time, to learn from other countries about the different types of digital solutions that they have already deployed for their own countries and for their own citizens. And ultimately, for this year, 2022, the Philippines is actually eyeing a seat in the ITU Council. So about 40 countries in the world will be given a chance to sit in the ITU Council for the next 4 years to work together on a global mission to provide digital strategies and solutions to our own countries, and not only to our own countries, but to other countries and to the world, so that we can really truly make ICT one of the vital strategies in achieving socio-economic development for the world. So that is where we are right now. We are in the middle of a campaign, and we wish that we will be successful in this campaign. I am the vice chair of the delegation for the ITU Plenipotentiary 2022 with the Secretary Ivan as the chair of this initiative. But I am the chairperson for the candidature, in short, for the campaign. At the same time, I will also be partnering with or assisting our secretary in terms of substantive matters. So several resolutions will be on the floor for us to deliberate as a planet, And this is like a dream
Yeah.
come for me, Richard. You and your team, you know how much I really wish to serve our country. In one of your talks where you invited me for the first time, I intimated in the Q&A portion how I would love to be given a chance to serve our country. And this is my chance right now. And thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for the opportunity of addressing your audience this morning.
Oh, Joselle, we have been impressed with the work you have been doing for some time now, and you just continue to do it. So it's really good to watch you in action. And you let us know how we can support you, because we will. Now, Joselle, there must be some departments in government that are doing better than others. Some are really pushing the boundaries and really doing a good work to build themselves out. Others maybe are a bit slow. But can you talk a bit about which agencies might have the best opportunities for improvement? What can you tell us about that?
Yes, of course, Richard. I'd be happy to share that under the watch of Secretary Ivan Uy, there's another undersecretary dedicated for e-governance. His name is
Okay.
Undersecretary David Almirol, and maybe probably in the future you could also invite him. He is tasked
Yes.
to build ecosystems or a national ecosystem where different departments of government are talking to each other in terms of data. In terms of data, in other
Yeah.
countries, we see that they already adopt a single entry policy, where a citizen simply provides data to one agency, and when you go to another agency, you don't need to line up and fill up a long pile of papers and documents and re-enter the same data over and over again in every agency. The goal is to move towards a data-driven and interoperable e-governance ecosystem. And I'm sorry, the list would be with the Undersecretary David, but well, in my case, I wish as a citizen, not only as an undersecretary, to be able to apply for permits, to be able to apply for clearances and licenses in a very speedy way. You see,
Yep.
even just the requirements that I have to comply as undersecretary from different offices of government needed weeks or even months just to secure. And if I am undersecretary and trying to comply with all these clearances, how much more an ordinary citizen wanting to use these clearances to find a job abroad, or
Yeah.
probably to go to school, and or to apply for a loan. So it must be very difficult for them. So these are the things that we're looking at, and I'm hoping that different agencies of government will be open to the guidance and the advice of the Department of ICT, because that is our task. That is not to steal away the thunder or to grab credit from any offices. We can always be in the back end of things. When we see that digital transformation is happening in every single government office or agency in the Philippines, we don't really need to put our name there as a department. What we just wish to see is to be able to achieve our task as a department under the law.
Well, hopefully, we can have you back maybe once every year or so just to give everyone an update on progress and any support you might need from the business community, and just to keep everybody up to date, because there's a lot of good people like you working hard in government to really make a difference. It's not easy. So we appreciate everything, Joselle, for sure.
Thank you, Richard. I just want to say that we need to keep on going. Under my
Yep.
portfolio is the ICT industry development, and I'm looking forward to creating with the industry up to about 3 million jobs by the end of the year. I mean, by the end of the
Wow.
term of our President Marcos. We're
Yep.
targeting to double the numbers that we have now. So with your help, Richard, and
Wow.
everyone else out there, we will achieve this dream of ours for the country. Maraming salamat po.
Thanks, Joselle. Yeah, so we want to support you as we can. Certainly, the business community really respect the work you are doing. So you and your friends at DICT. So tell your group we'd like to have you back, on a somewhat regular basis, just to give us an update on how things are going. And if there's any message you want to get out to the business community and the nation, please let us know, and we'll try to put you or your friends in for events of ours in the future. So thank you again, Joselle. Really good to see you, and really glad to have you in your game doing well. Our next guest, let's go to Christopher Arbonne. He is the business head for the Visayas region of Airspeed International, and a lot going on in his industry. The pandemic has just exploded online ordering and other aspects of this industry. SM Group bought a big stake within his organization. So there's a big future and a lot of activity ahead, and especially in the Visayas region. Chris is an active fellow, very sporty and all of that, keeps a balanced life in his corporate world. So please welcome Chris Arbonne of Airspeed International. Glad to have you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Richard, for that introduction. So, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Hope this day finds you well and in good spirit. So now, it is a great honor for me and privilege to be part of the Asia CEO Forum here in Cebu. Thank you very much. Again, I am Chris Arbonne, and I am from Airspeed International, and I am handling the Visayas region. And today, let me take you to the city that can be the next big thing when it comes to Cebu logistics businesses and how Airspeed makes it happen for Visayas region. The Queen City of the South, or Cebu City, is one of the sought after city in the Visayas region because of its tourist attraction, which makes it a strategic location for businesses. It is also eyed as the next logistic hub next to the Greater Manila area because of its international ports and ecozones found in the areas in Lapu-Lapu, Mandaue, Cebu City that plays a huge part in the logistics industry. Upon arrival in Cebu, visitors will be welcomed at the new Maktan Cebu International Airport, which is the largest international airline hub outside Manila and the second largest airport facility in the Philippines. Because of its huge capacity, MCIAA or Maktan Cebu International Airport can serve around 10 million local and foreign passengers since this is the gateway of travelers going to the top destinations in the region. Other than that, MCIAA is also a gateway to international cargo that handled around 24.63 million kilograms in 2021, reflecting a significant increase from the previous years. As highlight to the state of logistics in Cebu, there are significant logistics infrastructure we are proud to showcase, one of which is the CCLEX, the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway, an 8.9-kilometer and express connecting mainland Cebu City via the South Coastal Road of Cordova town in Maktan Island. This enables goods to be transported conveniently and faster because this bridge can accommodate approximately 50,000 vehicles daily. Cebu City will also be having its new Cebu International Container Port that will be targeted to be completed by the end of 2024. This port will handle all foreign container cargoes and promises a capacity of 2,500 TEUs, which will be a big help in the ease of all the port congestions we are experiencing in the country once this port starts its operation. And now, I'm giving you a glimpse on the ongoing infrastructure developments which are geared to build Cebu as a metropolitan city. One development that we have is a new star, a newly opened 5-star resort and casino in Cebu, which is going to be the Cebu premiere to be the ultimate leisure and entertainment destination in the region. Another promising project in Cebu is the South Coast City. It is also eyed to be the new entertainment center in the Visayas region, which is a consortium of SM Prime Holdings, Ayala Land Incorporated, and Cebu Holdings Inc., which aims to contribute to the Cebu's economic recovery efforts. Lastly, the Cordova Reclamation and Development Project, which broke ground last February of 2022, that aims in generating significant employment and investments in Cebu. Because of the booming tourist attraction and logistic requirements in Cebu, entrepreneurs are interested in investing in the region. Let me emphasize to you the reason why you should invest in Cebu. And one of the major reasons for that is it hosts the economic zones, which provides a bigger contributing factor for Cebu's growth. First, is the Maktan Economic Zone in Lapu-Lapu City. This zone houses multiple companies and multinational industries engaged in information technology, BPM, food and beverages, and other manufacturers. Next is the Maktan Economic Zone 2, which houses 49 locators and employs more than 14,000 employees. Another industrial park, which is very convenient, is the Cebu Light Industrial Park, or the CLIP, located in Maktan, which is strategically close to the international airport and seaport facilities, making it very convenient for the logistics activities. We are also proud to share the West Cebu Industrial Park, an industrial estate for medium to heavy industries, particularly fitted for shipbuilding and allied activities. Now, being the next logistic hub and a tourist attraction, Cebu City is also made its name in the e-commerce industry, which means logistics are also needed to step up its game. With the breakthrough of e-commerce, merchants and entrepreneurs are in search for a good and dedicated facility or warehouse to store their goods to increase the efficiency so as to improve assistance to the online sellers and e-commerce platform. And with that, we have new warehouses, facilities in Cebu that can store both dry and perishable goods, which is located in Mandaue. Again, even before the COVID-19 pandemic happened, we at Airspeed already embraced the third-party logistics integrated service, which is to improve our logistics fulfillment solutions, wherein businesses can outsource a logistics service provider to fulfill their first, middle, or last mile requirements. And to help the seller worry less about the transporting their items to the consumers, we are offering a last mile delivery service. Airspeed can take care of the shipping until it reaches to the doorsteps of the customers. And we know that fulfilling and shipping orders is a laborious task on the part of the sellers. The e-fulfillment service is now the newest hassle-free solution in which our team can customize to ease the fulfillment up to the shipping processes. Airspeed now continues to handle services such as freight solution management, customs clearance, and also customized logistics, or whatever logistics solutions you may need. Here in Cebu, Airspeed is on its way in improving the logistics through our Cebu hub, which serves as a gateway for Visayas and Mindanao. Sorting and dispatching of domestic and international shipments will be already done here in Cebu. This improves the transit time and saves costs since shipments from the region no longer need to be brought to Manila. Shipments going to the key cities in the Visayas and Mindanao will also be transferred from Cebu through our multi-modal services. Now, to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen, for more than 35 years, Airspeed has been a partner of different industries such as automotive, electronics, pharmaceuticals, perishables, manufacturing goods, to name a few. With Airspeed, ladies and gentlemen, businesses here in Cebu can rely on us by giving their partner in growing their business, helping the region in promoting and exporting their products as part of the mission in helping the communities. Because here in Airspeed, we just don't move your cargoes. We make successes in your business. and because we make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I was able to share information to the business logistic opportunities and how we were able to make it happen. And also, I hope that our continuous rise from the pandemic may bring hope to the future to everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Thank you, Asia CEO team and attendees. Good day to all.
Very good. Okay, Chris. Now, Chris, all along major highways these days, you see massive construction projects that look like warehouses. Is there still such huge growth in this industry? And is it for the online e-commerce world, or what's going on there, Chris?
Actually, what developments here in Cebu right now is, other than the infrastructure and the warehouses that they are building here, it's basically on the e-commerce development. Now, in Manila, in the entire Manila region already, it's already congested. And now they are creating Cebu as an hub, of which they need the same facility that what is in Manila to replicate it and make it as a hub in Cebu, connecting to the Visayas and Mindanao. Now, a lot of areas now are really developed to this kind of project, because developments now is moving towards Visayas and Mindanao.
Interesting. And now you mentioned the new port that's going up and different industries. What do you, in your business in the Visayas region, what industries would be most important for you, for the logistics industry?
Actually, here in Cebu is very diverse. No, what services we are offering throughout Manila is also the same here in the Cebu province. Now, we are also tapping now the small, medium scale enterprises, of which they are more into the online services.
Yes.
That's why we are now diversifying the service from the traditional now to the door-to-door service requirements to our small-scale clients nowadays.
I see. Interesting. Okay, well, that's exciting. Well, we look forward to seeing how things are going, and I look forward to seeing you when we're in Cebu next for a physical, see people physically. It's getting, I like online, but it is nice to see people in person. So we're doing that more. So it's very good.
We'd like to, if you are going to come go over Cebu, we'd love to tour you around, and you're gonna see what's really in store for Cebu, not only for logistics in that sense, but what really the sceneries and what other aspects, the heritage that we can look into also, that makes it more unique compared to other cities around.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time. There's going to be a big future ahead for Cebu, Chris. So you got yourself in a good place. So thank you again, everyone. That was Chris Arbonne of Airspeed. Glad to have you, Chris. Yes, really a pleasure, Chris. Really good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next guest is kind of special in my view. It's Tonichi Achura Parekh. Her official title is Vice President of Concentric. She just joined this organization. If you don't know, this is the nation's largest private sector employer with more than 100,000 employees, I believe it is in these days. When she was hired just a few months ago, she had about 5,000 people reporting to her. Now she's getting closer to 10. So anyone who says this industry is not a growth industry anymore really isn't up to speed. She manages some of the world's premier technology accounts, and also on the board of the Call Center Association of the Philippines. And so a real connected and energetic person. So really glad to have her. Please welcome Tonichi Achura Parekh. Good to see you, Tonichi.
Very good to see you, Richard. It's been a few weeks. Richard. We did some exciting stuff together then in Davao, but it's really good to see you again. thank you again for this opportunity, Richard. Really appreciate it. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, depending on where you are. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we're doing right now in Concentrix, what we are doing in Cebu. As you guys know, we take so much pride in being the nation's largest private employer, as Richard mentioned, at 100,000 strong team nationwide. Concentrix has always been people-driven, evident in how we continue to do business by preserving and even adding more jobs. Our trajectory of growth through this expansion has helped in bringing work access even closer to where our staff and job seekers live. And Concentrix has been the voice and primary public advocate of alternative work arrangements, espousing work at home and hybrid models apart from the traditional brick and mortar that we have been accustomed to. We have innovated our operating model by adding 3 community hubs and 3 mobile hubs, including 1 here in Cebu. And as a result, that generated about 5,000 new jobs, which also includes permanent work at home. Our staff's journey doesn't end there. Concentrix drives our staff to achieve the best version of themselves. And we support our staff in career advancement, in their transformation for success. And we make sure to equip them through learning, leadership, and development trainings and tools that will help their development. So in fact, Richard, just for the first half of the year, we have already promoted approximately 1,300 folks. And so that really just is a true testament that Concentrix is fanatical of our staff. And so we hope that, I know that you were part of our journey when we did the historical tri-site launch that we did last August. That was in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And specifically for Cebu, we opened our One Touch site. And that brings more jobs in the city and enhances the lives of many more Cebuanos. So again, thank you for inviting me over, Richard. I also want to talk a little bit about, my other hat, which is I'm part of the board of directors for the Contact Center Association of the Philippines. And you rightly said that there is no slowing down in this industry. And we have been really focused in making sure that this industry continues to grow. We have been extremely busy with a new administration coming in. We have done road shows, educational sessions, and discussions with the new members in the government, and we can feel and we are extremely optimistic that we have the government support.
Very good. So I know you're spending a lot of time, and maybe you could tell people, but the work from home issue was a big one. Concentrix, I know, played a leading role in, doing what's best for their employees rather than just, financial savings and so forth. And now, but what is the update on that? It sounded like good news in some of the headlines. Is that what you've heard?
Yes, and I don't want to preempt that.
No.
Because everyone has been very optimistic. We're getting really good feedback and really good news so far. In fact, just yesterday, we received some very positive news, and I would leave it to the associations to actually do an official press release about it. But we are super excited because we feel that we are truly getting the support from this administration.
Oh, that's so exciting, because it seems to me Philippines should be and very well will be a global superpower in BPO shared services, and with a bit more government support, which they have been mainly good, but it's just so exciting. I can hardly stand it. Now, with you, Tonichi, how many sites do you have in Cebu, your company, and roughly how many people are employed?
You know, Richard, I'll be honest with you. Just before I got on this call, I had to make sure that I was giving the right number because we just turned 50. So total sites for Concentrics in the Philippines just turned 50. So I wanted to make sure that there was no site that they opened that I'm not aware of. But actually in Cebu, we already have 10 sites. With that one one montage opening that brought us to 10 sites actually, so we're close to around 15,000 people.
Wow, that's
just in Cebu.
just outrageous. Just outrageous. Okay, that's really exciting. And now I was, like you said, you kindly invited me down to Cebu for your grand, yeah, it was a historical and beautiful job. The opening was, because you were opening 3 sites. I'm just emphasizing
simultaneously.
People. Yeah, and it was really exciting, everything that's going on. Now, what industries are you seeing growth from, Tonichi? Are there certain ones or
there's no certain ones really, I could say, Richard, but there are different types of work that's really opening up and continuing to grow. Like I was talking to you about content moderation. I really think that our talent pool should really be focused on upskilling our workforce with, content moderation, non-voice type of work. So really, we are not just talking about our interactions, not just in Concentrics. Within the BPO space, our interactions are just not limited to or primarily voice anymore. We are talking about a lot of non-voice type of work now.
Right, I see. And content moderation. So that's for technology-focused global organizations. Pretty sexy stuff by the sounds of it.
Yes, that's absolutely right, Richard.
Oh, I see. And so okay, all right. I could go on, but I know we're running out of time, Tonichi, but really, really good to hear you doing so well. And we really want to see Concentrics, because it really is, for people out there, this is the leader, and especially in the employee engagement side, taking a stand for the industry and allowing people to choose where they want to work, despite, whatever government regulations and so forth are involved. So really, really good. And we want to see Concentrics continue to do well. So thank you again, Tonichi. Sorry, I'm talking too much, but it really is exciting. So thank you again. Really good to see you. And any closing message you might have.
Richard, really great to see you. Likewise, Philippines is truly the heart of CX. And you will start hearing about Philippines being the heart of CX more often now. I'm glad that there's a lot of focus now in this industry, and there's a lot of focus in the way we're going to upskill and grow the talent within our workforce. So kudos to you and the Asia CEO events for creating these kinds of opportunities for us to learn from each other. And we will continue to grow this industry.
Absolutely. This is going to be another 1 million jobs by what I understand, talking to people like you. So it's just so exciting. So again, thank you very much. That was Tonichi Achura of the Grand Concentrics organization. Thank you again, Tonichi.
Thank you, Richard.
Let's get going with Lars Witti. He's country head of Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, South Korea for IWG. Some of their brands are Spaces and Regis, well known, and an active force across the region for this entrepreneurship enabling organization. Lars is a pretty high profile in Philippines, also president of the very high profile European Chamber of Commerce. So he's tapped in with a lot that's going on across Philippines and specifically Cebu, Visayas. So let's hear an interesting update on what he sees for the nation and this key Cebu Visayas region. Welcome, Lars. Good to see you.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, I'm delighted to be addressing an audience in Cebu. I'm sorry I can't be there, but I know that there are also people listening in, watching from outside Cebu. So let me start by introducing you briefly to my journey relative to Cebu, because Cebu is in many ways, along with all of Visayas, the heart of the Philippines. I moved here initially in 1992, and it didn't take many weeks before I had my first business trips to Cebu. Cebu is historically where the Spanish first settled. Visayas is historically where the Chinese trading initially started, the island of Panay, Iloilo, and particularly Capiz. So in many ways, historically and geographically, absolutely the heart of the country. I worked in different industries, and the last over 10 years with IWG, we are servicing literally all industries, entrepreneurs, and big enterprises, Fortune 500 companies, worldwide and nationwide. So we are very much sort of like the enabler that also brings in many of these investors to areas like Visayas and Cebu specifically, but also the other way around. We are sort of a launching platform for local entrepreneurs to be able to go national and perhaps even international, because being a member of say Regis in Cebu also gives you access to our network of locations, offices throughout the country, as well as globally, 120 countries, 3,500 locations. Now, our business in Cebu is both expanding and experiencing a rapid increase in demand. Let me just touch on that on a national scale and even regionally. We see a very quick recovery in Southeast Asia, along with South Korea, which I also help managing for IWG. But specifically for the Philippines, statistically, I have some very good key indicators, because the number of inquiries we get are quite meaningful statistically. We got last month, in the month of August, 1,633 inquiries, incoming inquiries. And that is from domestic companies, it's from big companies expanding, it is from the new up-and-coming startups, it is interested investors from abroad. A very big part of those, of course, are then converted into brand new customers. Likewise, we see that existing customers, the retention rate, the likelihood of them staying with us and keep renewing and expanding is higher than ever before. And therefore, Philippines is really taking a lead compared to other ASEAN countries in terms of recovering. Now, is that positive trend also reflected outside Metro Manila? And I must say, absolutely, definitely, yes. We also in Clark, we are in Davao, we are in Cebu. And when I joined IWG, Cebu was the first place outside Metro Manila where I saw the opportunity and the timing to be right for the first Regis center outside Metro Manila. That's almost 10 years ago. And we partnered up with Arbonne, and very, very happy with that partnership. It was expanded about 2.5 years ago, where Arbonne actually took over as a franchise partner, and they are now taking the lead in expansion. So from that very first center in Arbonne, we are now also in the IT park of Cebu, and Arbonne is about to open the first center in Maktan, so still kind of Cebu, at least Cebu province. And I've always been very, very upbeat about Maktan. And we are also, Arbonne is opening the first center in Iloilo. Another good indicator for Cebu and Visayas is to look at the European Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. which has a chapter in Cebu, which is very, very strong, with nearly, I think, 160 members. I'm pretty sure it's 160 and growing. And we never had so many different industries represented in Cebu as we do now, besides also so many companies. And there are some very good cases from lifestyle, design, to tourism, to BPOs, pretty much everything. And I often think about, actually, their country head is on the board of directors of the European Chamber of Commerce. But Mercedes-Benz, the cars, we all know them, of course. And most of us wish we also had one. And those who don't is because they already have been successful enough to buy one. Nevertheless, Mercedes a long time ago picked Cebu as their one of their global BPO locations. They didn't even start here in Metro Manila. And in the interest of business continuity, as backup, they picked Clark, Pampanga, and still not Metro Manila. It's very interesting to see how big investors and entrepreneurs still actually flourish more and more in the provinces rather than in the national capital region of Metro Manila. And with those few words, I wouldn't be surprised if Richard has a question or two.
Now, Lars, with your Regis Spaces operation, so the why so much? Like, who is coming into your sites? Because I overheard you're having a new site, so that'll be 3 sites in Cebu and another one in Iloilo, which is a bit of a surprise, I thought. But these are, like you said, mainly entrepreneurs, or are they offshoots of large companies? Yeah, what?
It's very much both. When we started opening up locations in the provinces, starting with Cebu and then Davao and then Clark, I always assumed that we would be sort of like the runway to touchdown for investors to expand into these provinces. And that is still very much the case, of course, when it comes to moving over to Maktan in terms of the expansions and Iloilo, that we see the trend and the time to be right. Iloilo is doing extremely well, by the way. That's a separate discussion, I guess. I would gladly take it another day. But even the European Chamber of Commerce has now opened a new chapter in Iloilo. So when you look at the more obvious Cebu, Davao, Clark, it is nowadays it is Iloilo and it is Cagayan de Oro, which are close followers. And then I can quickly think of half a dozen other locations following those. But anyway, it is what I learned is after we opened is that the local entrepreneurs very, very quickly sees us as a way to get a great address and a great workspace without having to spend a lot of money, without having a long-term liability and contract, and to use us as a platform to suddenly do business nationally. If you are a small entrepreneur in Cebu and you make a business trip to Metro Manila, you can host a meeting yourself here at Regis as long as you're already a member of Regis in Cebu.
Absolutely. And I just had memories came back because when I started my business, I had a Regis office location, and we still use, I don't know if you know that, but we still use a Regis office as our mailing address and so forth. But
yeah.
So that's good to hear. And so the larger companies coming in, what industries would they be mainly, would you say?
Well, I would say it's surprisingly similar throughout Asia and South Korea as well. When we're looking at the Fortune 500, those that are requesting really significant amount of space and workstations, it is to a high degree the very well-known large IT companies. And one of my largest inquiries right now is actually for Cebu and not Metro Manila.
I see.
And we see these deals throughout the region and in South Korea. Sometimes we're even building an entire center just for one customer. And that is the kind of scenarios that we also are working on in the Philippines. And as mentioned, the most significant one, coincidentally, is in Cebu and not Metro Manila or anywhere else. Cebu is also a destination that is easy to travel to. There are international flights. And from my discussions with these very big inquiries from abroad, that's very important to them.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. Okay, Lars, well, keep up the great work. And I know you're starting to travel more, you mentioned. So hopefully you don't, at least you spend some of your time. I know you'll spend a lot of your time in Philippines, but I know you're busy with everything.
I gladly help out with other countries on the condition that I never have to move out of the Philippines.
Okay. All right, Lars, you and me have been here for a long time, I think. Really good to see you, looking well and doing well. So thank you again. That was Lars Witti of the Regis Spaces organization. Thanks again, Lars. Really good to see you.
Thank you, Richard. Likewise.
And we have a special guest who we just adore the work she has done and the person she is, Heidi Enriquez, the CEO of Pro Group. This is a 7,000 person operation growing at just explosive rates. And she's really making a high impact here. Focusing this company does on what I understand are mid-size and even small organizations and a really new factor in the industry. So we're looking forward to seeing progress and hearing how she's doing. She comes from the HR business and one of the first to really transition to CEO. So really quite a story and quite a person. So please welcome Heidi Enriquez of Pro Group. Glad to have you, Heidi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Richard. To say that the past 2 years were marked by disruption and change is to understate the obvious. Our daily lives, from educating our kids, managing our health, and working from home, to simple social rituals like dinner with friends, underwent rapid multidimensional change. Nascent trends like virtualization of the workspace, online learning, virtual health, and e-commerce accelerated exponentially. Understandably, leaders have struggled mightily to address these overlapping changes simultaneously, dealing with economic, health, and logistical crises that have unfolded all at top speed. Much as we might like to think of years from 2020 as an anomaly, it may not be. Conditions for accelerating change have been building for years. Advancements in information technology, automation, human interconnectivity, artificial intelligence, and the network effects among them created a new reality where change is much more rapid, continual, and ubiquitous. COVID-19 and its derivatives lay bare what is called a new normal of change marked by 3 dimensions. It's perpetual, meaning occurring all the time in an ongoing way. It's pervasive, unfolding in multiple areas of life at once. And it is exponential, meaning accelerating at an increasingly rapid rate. This 3-dimensional or 3D change is defining our emerging future. And as a consequence, effective leadership will be defined by the ability to navigate this new reality where the leader navigates multiple domains of change simultaneously. After almost 20 years in the contact center industry handling various HR roles, I made a pivotal move early last year and joined Probe CX, an Australia-based group of companies, as CEO of their 2 newly acquired companies in the Philippines, Microsourcing and People. While most people were struggling to keep their jobs amidst uncertainties of the pandemic, I threw myself into a new role, joined a group that operates day shift versus the graveyard hours that I had been used to during my contact center life, a segment of the PPO industry that I had zero experience in, leading not one, but two companies, each of them internally going through massive organizational change because of the acquisition. And lest we forget, we were at the height of the pandemic and lockdowns when I decided to do all of the above. What then are some of the lessons I learned, not just as CEO, but as a leader in navigating this perpetual, pervasive, and exponential change vis-a-vis the expectations of aggressive growth? First and foremost, learn the business. Leaders must be familiar and have a deep understanding of the business and must develop a thorough working knowledge of what the organization does and why. How does it make and spend money? What are my organization's products or services? And what's involved in delivering it? How do I drive and measure performance at the functional level in alignment with the overall business goals? Being a newcomer, I had to relearn, and I had to do it decisively and quickly. The second one is be anti-fragile. Anti-Fragile, Things That Gain from Disorder is a book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, published in 2012. In it, he introduced the term anti-fragility. Anti-fragility is beyond resilience or robustness. The resilient receives shocks and stays the same, whereas the anti-fragile gets better. How do we let the situation work to our advantage? As Taleb pointed out, the anti-fragile loves randomness and uncertainty, which also means, crucially, a love of errors. Anti-fragility has a singular property of allowing us to deal with the unknown, to do things even without understanding them, and yet do them very, very well. The next one is leaning in. Traditionally, lean in has been used in the context of sports to mean to shift one's body weight forward or toward someone or something. In business, it means challenging the status quo. It means always finding ways to do things better. It means being part of the solution rather than the problem, instead of leaning back and watching others fix the problem, or worse, denying the existence of a problem. It means taking the path of action rather than indifference. The next one is learning the industry and the environment where your organization operates. Industry knowledge is a term that describes the accumulation of knowledge and awareness of the intricacies of what's happening in our industry. The importance of this, especially in the new normal, can never be overemphasized. Identifying new opportunities, staying ahead of the competition, compliance with regulations, and awareness of security issues are just some of the reasons why this is important. Acquiring or creating competitive advantage, which ultimately leads to business growth, rely on being abreast with the latest news and current trends in the industry. And then last but not the least, sapient leadership. In 2020, Dr. Anil Chima and Ron Gottman under the Stanford University umbrella gathered world-class luminaries, leaders who generate impact and change at a global scale, for a conversation on the future of leadership and change-making. Their work was published in Harvard Business Review. What emerged was a new vision of leadership, which they called sapient leadership. A sapient leader is characterized by being wise, sagacious, and discerning in navigating change while also being humane in the face of change that can often feel as alien. This kind of leadership emphasizes counterintuitively an anti-hero leader. Rather than the leader as a hero model, they find that leaders who successfully lead and thrive in these trying times articulate a humble, nimble, and value-driven vision for leadership. Sapient leaders exhibit authenticity, humility, and vulnerability, inspiring the necessary trust and psychological safety that drives shared learning and intelligence, resulting in enhanced collective performance and leading to a better future for all. So how did we fare during my first year as CEO of the pioneer and biggest provider of offshore managed services company in the Philippines? An industry survey last year showed that 85% of IT BPM companies are expecting double-digit growth between 10 to 15%. We, on the other hand, grew by 25% of revenue and 30% on our profitability. Our client NPS increased, and we maintained an employee attrition rate that is less than half of the industry average. While many IT BPM companies are still waiting for final decision from both PESA and the FIRB regarding work from home arrangement, we have already registered one of our sites under BOI, which enabled us to offer in-center, hybrid, and remote work arrangements to our professionals. 2022 also ushered in a new set of shareholders for the Probe CX family after it got acquired by KKR, one of the world's largest investment management firms in the world. And we closed our 2022 financial year with the opening of our first site in Cebu, signaling the start of our countryside expansion. Our new financial year started in July with even more aggressive growth targets, starting with 3 more service delivery centers expected to go live in the next 60 days. Our second delivery center in Cebu is set to go live in the first week of October with 350 seats. Along with the myriad challenges it brought, the singular realization of the pandemic years is that perpetual, pervasive, and exponential change is the new normal. We, our teams, and our organizations must continually learn, update mental maps, deploy new tools, and course correct based on the best ideas and practices. The challenge of the pandemic is that it amplifies the pressures on leaders, teams, and organizations to evolve and adapt faster or become irrelevant. The call then is upon us leaders to shift our paradigms and mindset in order to thrive and to drive exponential growth amidst the rapidly changing environment. Thank you very much.
Well done, Heidi. You're an inspiration coming from Palawan and now CEO of this very successful growing operation. But Heidi, I understand you have large numbers of jobs that you're trying to fill. How is recruiting going, and what do you anticipate as the challenges ahead on just managing your growth?
In Cebu, it is great that the client that have committed to grow with us in Cebu is one that really is quite inclusive, in the sense that it doesn't really, they don't necessarily require, although it is an engineering company, they don't require engineering degrees, they don't require significant prior experience. So in that particular case, we've been lucky because of this great partnership. Just case in point, Richard, the requirement is for us to hire 300 within 1 month. And our very first recruiting activity, we did only last Monday. And as of today, we already have 152 successful candidates, job offer acceptees. Okay?
Wow.
Yes. So Cebu is delivering really the kind of talent that we need for this premier client of ours. Now, I must say, lest you think that all is really well, no? No. The reason why we're expanding to the countryside is really because we need to expand our talent base. There are roles that even in mature markets like Metro Manila are very, very difficult to hire. One case in point, I reviewed my recruiting report earlier, and as of this morning, I have 1,350 job vacancies representing, this is the more critical part, Richard, representing 1,150 roles. That's how expansive the operations of microsourcing and BPO is. It's so diverse and it is really expansive.
Very difficult. Wow. Okay. Well, we will look forward to seeing. Now, the other thing you mentioned, KKR, and for people who don't know, but this is one of the world's, I think it's the second largest financial investment company in the world. Anybody in finance would be like just so impressed with this organization. And it's so interesting. And exciting that they have chosen, they have bought into your company because they must see tremendous growth and opportunities, both for Philippines and for, well, you as well, I guess. But they're also notorious for being hard driven and, very demanding of their managers. Have you seen any of that yet, or are you prepared for all this? What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, it's a great honor to be part of an organization that's now owned by the second biggest management equity firm in the world. It's a little bit scary, I must tell you. This is the very first year that my budget was set in alignment with KKR's expectation. And mind you, the expectation is 38% growth of the bottom line. So last year we grew by 30%, and this year is going to be 38%. But they're willing to put in the investment necessary to make us successful because of all their wealth, right? And that makes us really poised to live up to their expectation, if not to exceed it. So we're going to do really bigger, bolder, and better this year with and under the helm of KKR.
Okay. Well, really nice to see. And like I said, I've always considered you a bit of a sample for what we can do more of, someone who came, really up and built herself up into really, you've really become a world-class CEO leader. So, so well done to Heidi, everyone. And I guess we're going on, we're over time a bit, but again, that was Heidi Enriquez, our friend from Probe Group. Really good to see her and glad she's doing so well. Thanks again, Heidi.
Thank you very much, Richard.
And now kind of a special guest is Dottie Wergler-Cronin. She is general manager of the brand new Sheraton Cebu Maktan Resort Project. This is a very, very high-end, super luxury facility. I think it's on a 5-hectare location right on the ocean. So it's just beautiful. And they persevered. They had a heck of a time during the pandemic. I heard from different sources keeping it going, but they did. And they just opened just last month, I understand. So it was really nice to have Dottie with us. She's well known in the hospitality industry. So we were pleased to see that she's the one running it. So let's hold our seats down and hear an interesting story. Please welcome Dottie Wergler-Cronin of the Sheraton Cebu Maktan Resort. Glad to have you, Dottie.
Thank you, Richard. Maayong adlaw kanatong tanan. Good morning, everyone. As of today, our Sheraton Cebu Maktan Resort is actually a 19-day-old destination in Maktan, Cebu. We are very glad that finally the world's gathering place is now open to the world. Our focus is quite directed to provide a great experience to all the guests who have been itching to feel the breeze by the sea, to dive into the clear waters of the ocean, to indulge to the scrumptious food, to quench the thirst for cold, refreshing beverages, and many other leisure activities we have missed during the pandemic. In spite of all these expectations, a very touching reality had happened during our first ever event we accommodated in our resort. A birthday celebration of a turning senior dad. Because it was a huge leap for their dad, they made sure that it will be memorable for him. The situation became very challenging as the weather became a bit moody with the downpour of the heavy rain. It was very challenging because they wanted to have it down by the beach with a cocktail setup. We were worried and convinced the family if we can move it inside a function room to avoid unnecessary inconvenience. However, what struck us most was the answer of the organizer. He said, the celebrant wanted to celebrate his senior year by the beach because he wanted to reminisce the good memories that the beach has brought him. When he sees the beach, he remembers all the great times of the 60 years of journey in life. We will help you manage the guests. It has moved and struck us. Because more than the breeze, the waters, the food, and the drinks that we wanted to assure our guests to experience, it is the lifetime memories that should be our goal to give to our guests. We were reminded that these experiences will carve memories that our guests will take for a lifetime. Simple details as such in events can trigger the vast emotional marvel to our guests. As we are moving towards the resurgence of traveling again, we shall take this lesson with us. We should always curate memories more than the experience that is worth a lifetime. When we opened our property, we were fervent in the hopes that we will reignite the interest and passion of the world to come back to the beautiful Cebu. As I may borrow the words from our Department of Tourism Secretary, Cristina Garcia Frasco, inaugurating Sheraton Cebu Maktan Resort with no doubts shall enhance the landscape of Cebu and the Philippines as one of the leading destinations in Asia. With this, knowing the trends in our business, it's necessary to be a competitive destination in Asia and in the whole world. As of September 2nd of this year, the Philippines remain to be active on the radar with flight activities for both domestic and international, 100% and 51% respectively, recovery from the pre-pandemic numbers, flight statistics in nearby destinations continuously to rev up as it remains and peaks on destination like Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Japan and South Korea countries continue to also pick up on flights, attracting more tourists to visit the said destination. In general, domestic flights still remain to be the most feasible source of markets for hospitality. Overall booking activities in the Philippines still remain in good numbers, as we are seeing 94% performance percentage booking activity, in contrast during the pre-pandemic. Destinations like Thailand, Singapore, and Maldives is seeing a good number of booking activity also, gearing up for the holidays. Other destinations may have not picked up due to the border restrictions and other COVID-19 requirements that they needed to fulfill. ADRs, or the average daily rate, as of September 2022, is fluctuating due to the demonstrated fluctuating booking activities. Despite the fluctuations, ADRs still remain to soar high for the Asia-Pacific region. In terms of room nights recovery, transient discounts skyrocketed to more than average of 300% recovery in Asia Pacific in the last 4 weeks, which suggests to all hospitality stakeholders to focus on providing promotional strategies to have accommodate revenge travelers, as we call, and leverage the eagerness to travel and spend more. Wholesale, corporate, and government and rewards redemption also follows to have contributed widely on the room night bookings. In terms of booking behavior, destinations such as Fiji, New Caledonia, Maldives, and Thailand project travelers to book their accommodations 30 days prior to their stay, as these destinations, except Thailand, needed clearance and necessary documents before they travel. While in the Philippines, because of the booming domestic traveling and easing of restrictions, booking behavior remains to be conservative, at 0 to 7 days booking ahead of their stay, at 37% parallel to longer lead time. Occupancy level in Asia Pacific has also fluctuated as parallel to the booking behavior. We may also consider that occupancy percentages are also a reflection of a number of cancellations travelers may have done due to restrictions and result of COVID-19 testing. Despite this, ADR recovery remains to grow at 111% in the past 4 weeks, In the Philippines, percentage drop at 6% for the past 4 weeks. That might be of rerouting plans for the holidays. On the contrast, ADR remains to be platonic at 96% recovery. Looking at all the numbers presented earlier, we are very optimistic that Cebu will remain its spot to become one of the best tourist destinations in Asia and the world. If I may emphasize, a major takeaway from all this exciting renaissance to the new traveling behavior is being prepared for this huge influx of travel. And for us, the best way to prepare is to commence a take care culture within our organization. Let us remember that our associates, our people, are the ones who are working tirelessly to deliver good service to our guests. And ergo, we shall take care of them in return. In my humble years of experience in the industry, the value of putting people first has championed in many sorts of ways. Because when your associates are happy, your guests are happy as well. As we are progressing the better days, let us spread a viral effect, the effect of genuine service and passionate care. Daghang salamat. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dottie. And now, Maktan, is it safe to say that this is really becoming the destination for Cebu? Because there's so much development, and your new Sheraton is going to make a big impact. Is that correct in saying that?
Yes. Actually, Richard, we are seeing we are proud that we're able to open this property amidst a very, very difficult time.
Yes.
And the journey was not easy. As you may know, we have gone through Typhoon Odette, and that also impacted further delay of the opening. Nevertheless, it really is something that, if I may say, has refreshed the interest of the industry.
Yes.
Because there is something new. There's something new that people can be proud of from Cebu, that people can look forward to visiting, and it is a new brand. We as Marriott is coming back to this destination, but this is the first resort of Marriott International in the Philippines. So we really are able to bring, I would say, a good name to Cebu as a destination. Is something to be proud of, because you have, again, another international brand that has now settled and opened to the shores of Maktan, Cebu. So yes, it definitely is something that people can look forward to, and we are very, very happy, and we are ready to welcome them all.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see it too, Dottie. Now, I know you're open, but there's still work just for the last bit of it. When will the final?
We are looking at to complete the entire resort by December.
All right, that's so beautiful. So we're looking forward, and you and I were just speaking about doing the next Asia CEO Cebu event at your facility. And I would really, really like to do that, because there'll be a lot of people from across the country who would want to come down and see what you've done. And
yes.
It's just a beautiful thing, what you've done. So it's really going to raise the bar of professionalism across the Visayas, certainly Cebu area, but across Visayas. So well done, Dottie, and I'm glad you're there to oversee it. How many staff are you employing at your facility?
We are not fully staffed right now. It's basically equitable to the number of rooms and the number of facilities that we have. But we are basically about, I would say, 175 full-time employees. And then we have additional outsourced, like our security guards and some other manpower that are required as the business based on the business demands.
Sure. So that's a major employer then you are already, and that's going to increase to probably about 250 or so, won't it?
Yes, well, whenever you have an addition to the tourism industry, and you know how badly battered really the industry had been, it also is basically giving back something to the community.
Oh, yes.
Whether it is community in the immediate surroundings, Cebu, the province, what you call this, employment, and a place for all these students who are about to do their internship, because they haven't had any actual internship in the past 2.5 years. So these are the things that we will be able to also share to our tourism and hospitality industry, Richard.
So well done, Dottie, and thank you again for updating us. And we look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much. It's also an honor and my pleasure to be part of this Asia CEO Visayas event. And definitely we look forward to be in partnership with you for the 2023 Asia CEO in Cebu.
Sure. Okay, we'll look forward to it. Okay, well, thanks again, Dottie of the brand new Sheraton Maktan hotel. So yeah, very, very good. Let's go now to the final and, in my view, a highlight speaker. It's Asim Roy. His formal title is Head of International Operations for the Asia Pacific region and Japan for Wipro. This is one of the world's premier IT organizations, and his organization is the largest private sector employer in Cebu City. So this is a major operation and a major driver of career aspirations in the nation, and especially, as I said, in the Cebu and region around it. He's also the president of the Cebu IT BPM organization, and working really, really hard. This guy works long hours and still has time to contribute and really be a force promoting Cebu and helping other companies set up in Cebu. So a heck of a nice fellow. Please welcome Asim Roy of Wipro.
Hey, very good evening, good afternoon, whichever time zone you are following us, guys. So, Richard, thank you so much for that flattering introduction. Glad to be back on Asia CEO Forum, Cebu. So, and nothing better than, coming as much as face to face. I know we are looking for days when we meet in person, but I think we are still in the hybrid, and, let's do justice to this forum. So thank you so much. And I think I'll possibly start by giving a bit of an overview of Cebu and, what we are doing as part of the different initiatives that I am part of. Like you slightly said, we wear twin hats, one of president of Cebu IT BPO organization and that of country head for Wipro. In my extended role, and possibly that's where I'll focus a bit more, we'll be talking more on where we see Cebu today. So if you today look at Cebu, we are possibly the largest city outside the Manila NCR. From an IT BPO perspective, it has been the center of excellence for over a decade now, employing over 200,000 colleagues, employees, more than 300 IT BPO companies operating out of Cebu, which has a great talent pool and resources that I can talk about. Over 5 major universities, over 40,000 graduates every year, access to provincial talent across the Visayas and the Mindanao. And when you compare to Manila NCR, which I know I tend to make it people a bit jealous on that count, saying that, hey, there's definitely a better work-life balance when it comes to Cebu, and you still be as competitive as you are. In terms of resources, I would say, in terms of quality of talent, lower attrition, I think Cebu scores much higher when it comes to the industry that we are operating out of place. And not to forget the world-class infrastructure that we have seen come up in Cebu. Possibly the most prominent way of expressing that is when you actually fly into Cebu. Today, Maktan Cebu International Airport boasts of one of the best airports, I would say a resort airport across the Southeast Asia. Then you have CSLX, which is the longest hanging bridge across the Philippines. So that's between Cebu city and Maktan. Again, a great infrastructure development. And when you look around, whether it's Telecos, PLDT, Globe, Converge, they're invested heavily in the infrastructure, be it landline, whether it's fiber, whether it's 5G. You could get a world-class experience when you come to Cebu in terms of connectivity. And that is also true to a large extent in the kind of infrastructure, whether it's Cebu IT Park, a Cebu Business Park, a major hub for IT BPO industries. You can't, if you're an investor, you can't expect more in terms of world-class connectivity, infrastructure, talent pool. I think Cebu is the place to go, whether it's IT BPO or other service industry, just to talk about. From an industry support, I would say Cebu kind of contributes almost 93 billion pesos per year to the national GDP or the economy. That's a big amount, considering that it's still an island with not more than 3 million people, a city with not more than 1 million in terms of population. So pretty much a big contribution that brings it to national GDP. And this is just purely IT BPO, the number that I'm talking about. That's a ballpark number that's the kind of support that it gives to the national GDP. In terms of some marquee customers who have made Cebu their home, just, you can see on my screen, you have the Amazon, you have the JPMC, you have the Mercedes-Benz amongst the captives who have set up their operations in Cebu. And then talking about the third party, like I said, we have often made it to the top list of IT BPO destinations or outsourcing destinations. Companies like ours, that's Wipro, many of our competition, whether it's Accenture, Cognizant, Concentric. For them, Cebu is a major hub in terms of IT BPO business is concerned. So I think if you look at in totality, this is the place to be. If you're looking at a location which is sizable, scalable, has a great talent pool, no other place to go than to come to Cebu. And like I said, in my extended role, what we do as a president of CIBO, which is the nodal agency or nodal organization supporting, members to accelerate the industry growth and maintain a competitive advantage over different cities. So me along with my team of extended trustees, executive directors, board members, provide the right academe ecosystem, industry support, setup support, from different spheres of the industry that includes people in infrastructure development, facility development, some of our peers who are, you can see on my screen, the CIBO board members and board trustees who will be happy to assist you if you opt to make Cebu your home when it comes to your business requirements. So I'll encourage you guys to visit that page, and that's one thing that I always do, is to make sure that you have the right support and you are familiar with our team. As part of our larger initiatives in Cebu and as part of CIBO as an organization, we made it a point, we took some marquee initiatives over the last 2 years, I would say. The most prominent this year, where we worked with the industry and academe to restore telco and other infrastructure after typhoon order. We work extensively on providing mobility solutions when the work from home order was revoked and return to office was implemented 1st of April. Then more recently, we have been hosting one of the biggest transformation summits in Cebu that connects people, that connects companies, that connects technology companies to bring in the best in line, best in class solutions for our customers and employees. So these are some of the achievements and activities that you will see on a screen. So happy to have you. If you have any queries, happy to take those questions. Now coming to a more extended role, which is about my managing Wipro Philippines. I think we have spoken at length last time around also. Wipro happens to be the largest private employer in Cebu, one of the largest India headquartered companies, winner of some major regional awards. We today boast of a high local employment that's almost 99%. One of the key things about our branding initiative is almost 50% of every hiring that we do is comprises of our local resources. That's purely on word of mouth. So almost 53% of the hiring that we do is purely on because of the referrals that we do. When we are, as an organization, we have over 40 customers, 49 customers that we support, out of which roughly 20 plus are in Cebu. So if you look at between Cebu and Manila, we probably have the right blend of talent pool, right blend of business mix that we today cater to the customers. Again, this slide more or less shows our commitment to Cebu, the kind of dominant verticals that we support. Nothing on earth which, in terms of outsourcing BPO activities or IT services, is not supported out of Cebu. So, with over 8,000 employees, there's definitely a major chunk of our strategic delivery happens out of Cebu, and we continue to maintain that kind of rigor. In terms of some of the marquee industry initiatives, I, along with our affiliated organization, whether it's CIBO or Wipro in particular, we have been championing the regional cause. Very recently, we hosted IBPAP, DICT, and CIBO leadership at the roadshow, the ITBPO roadshow that was as early as June. Last week, I happened to be in Manila. We were invited and we participated in a IBPAP PESA briefing, which is aimed at facilitating the work from home setup for the larger industry. So happy to be contributing to one of the major initiatives across the industry. So that's where you find Wipro playing an important role. Then so far and so forth, I would say that our engagement with other industries like CCAP, which is the leading BPO providers, and they see Cebu as a major player when it comes to IT BPO industry. So we have been extending our help and extending our support, both in terms of a capacity as Wipro and in capacity of CIBO, to continue dominate the regional presence when it comes to the employment and sustainability for the industry coming out of a regional city. And not to forget, the Asia CEO Cebu Forum. So, today we are extremely excited to be part of this, and we see this as continuation of the great work that the Asia CEO organization and you and the organization is doing in terms of promoting Cebu as a great investment destination. So thank you so much for that, Richard. And then not to forget, this is Wipro's story, whereby we actually in the last 1.5, 2 years, silently we moved from say a 7,000-8,000 people to almost a 10,000 plus organization. And out of this 10,000, where we added some 2,000 employees across Cebu and Manila, I'm proudly mentioning that out of this 2,000, roughly 1,500, 1,600 new jobs were created in Cebu. So that's a big thumbs up for a city of this size, adding that kind of weight and numbers to our headcount. And this is possibly my last slide, where it's a proof of pudding for the various awards that we have been crowned with, which include the ICT's Best Company Outside the Mainland NCR 3 times in a year. So this is practically making to the Hall of Fame among the various awards. And not to forget some of the initiatives that we took during the pandemic, which earned us some prominent recognition in the space of CSR, which includes from the LGUs and the local government. And then lastly, happy to be part of Circle of Excellence CEO Awards. As you can see, we have been a consistent participant to Asia CEO Awards, and last year also we were CEO Award winners for Top Employer Service Excellence of the company, just to name a few. So that's pretty much, in brief. I know I've taken a bit of a time, but that's a long and short story of our achievement, both as an industry partner and as an organization, and our belief and a strong commitment to regional growth. Nothing better than to talk about Cebu and be part of this journey. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Asim. Yeah, that's really interesting. And now, Asim, can you tell us again, how many employees do you have in Cebu?
Oh, for Wipro itself, we have more than 8,400 employees in Cebu. So more or less making us the largest private employer in Cebu. Yeah.
Wow, that is a large commitment to the Cebu city region. That's a large in any community. And understand, for people out there, that these are very highly paid jobs, very highly skilled. Asim and his group does a lot to develop people, train them, and so forth. So these are people who really are upwardly mobile and really world class. So really great to see. And now, Asim, I see that you've become president of this CIBO organization. And I know, like I said, you're a busy fellow. What do you hope to do with all this? I know you've got enough to do with your regular job. but you're taking on a lot more responsibilities that are unpaid as well. So what's your story with that?
Yes, sir, Richard, that's a good question because, as part of our stewardship charter, right, it's not about just promoting Wipro. We also have to take the industry along. So what represents CIBO? It's a regional organization aimed at promoting Cebu as a IT BPO, hub. Not that it's not there, but I think it's always good to get the big employers on board, who have the commitment, who have made Cebu as our regional headquarters. So in Wipro, what you see is a company which has committed to provincial and growth, sustainable growth in a provincial city. And it gives me immense pleasure to kind of share resources, share best practices, help the industry in general, and make Cebu as the city of choice for any major investment which is aimed at promoting economic growth and development in the city.
Okay, Asim, that's really good information. I'm so glad to see you doing so well and contributing so much to the region and to people across the country. So again, that was Asim Roy of Wipro, and we really look forward to watching him for the future. That was Asia CEO Cebu, and really glad to have you with us. So hang on, lots more to come, and we'll see everyone soon.